We'll go live. Yeah. But check the audio.
Check the audio. Hello, good morning everybody. Good morning everybody. Thank you, please, next. Very good, very good. Fantastic acoustics. But reduce the echo. Okay. So they can take the role, let them take the role in front, not worry. Not front seat, just where that gentleman is, the man wearing cap. Yes. The man at the edge, stand up, let him pass. Same thing on this other side. please, very quickly. It's just about 3 minutes to 10. I need Madam Vice Chancellor. On the dot of 10 o'clock, she will be here. So we can't keep Madam Vice Chancellor waiting. And for those of you outside, you are part of this program, please come in. Thank you. Please, let's quickly settle down. Thank you very much. Thank you. People talk to people. Professor C.
I don't know why it's not working.
Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning everybody. We want to very specially welcome all of us to this epoch making occasion. It is the Distinguished Alumni Lecture Series, first of its kind in the Faculty of Life Sciences of our great university, the University of Benin. Can we put our hands together, everybody? Put your hands together. When I say put your hands together, I mean everybody. Put your hands together. Thank you. For those of you reading the program, put your hands together. Very specially, we recognize, in no particular order now, while we await the Vice Chancellor and our entourage, we want to very specially recognize and welcome our wonderful students of the Faculty of Life Sciences of this great university. Put your hands together, our great students. Fantastic. Wonderful. Now, I can see from this very vintage position, my head of department. Now you understand why I have to recognize my head of department first. Yeah. Because you know what will happen to my platform if I do not recognize my head of department. Let's put our hands together for Professor Vice Chancellor, Animal and Environmental Battle, and our entourage. We want to very specially recognize and welcome. Actually, I'll bring the results later. Now, I can say thank you. Let me also from this very vintage, Professor Alumnus. Yeah, he's one of the latest professors in the faculty. Let's put our hands together for him, please. My head of department. Now you understand why I have to recognize my head of department first. One of the latest professors in the faculty of Life Sciences, Professor Alex. Because you know what will happen to my platform if I do not recognize my head of department. Let's put our hands together for Professor Vice Chancellor, Animal and Environmental Battle, and our entourage. Want to very specially recognize and welcome. Actually, I'll bring the results later. Now, I can say thank you. Let me also from this very vintage, Professor Alumnus. Yeah, he's one of the best professors in the faculty. Let's put our hands together for him, please. So, I head of department. Now you understand why I have to recognize my head of department first. Because you know what will happen to my Vice Chancellor, entourage. We want to very specially recognize and welcome. Now, I can say thank you. From this very vintage, Chairman Professor Omonigo. Are you here? Okay, your students are not here. That's what it means. It's the staff that are here. The students are not here. Where are they? Are you doing clap for your HOD? That means people don't like you. Vintage, Chairman Professor Omonigo. Are you here? Okay, your students are not here. That's what it means. It's the staff that are here. The students are not here. Head of the department, science. Where are they? Are you doing clap for your HOD? That means people don't like you. Professor Vintage, Professor Omonigo. Are you here? Okay, your students are not here. That's what it means. It's the staff that are here. The students are not here. Head of the department, science. Where are they? Are you doing clap for your HOD? That means people don't like you. Professor Chairman Professor Alumnus. Are you here? Okay, your students are not here. That's what it means. It's the staff that are here. The students are not here. Where are they? Are you doing that for your HOD? That is what the University of Benin, that is one of Vice Chancellor, a purpose-driven, result-oriented, Institute Administrator, Vice Chancellor, University of Benin, Professor Mrs. Lilian Jumwetia Salami, here this morning, amazing, is represented by Deputy Vice Chancellor, Ekema, Counter Vice Chancellor, Professor John, I recognize very especially the Registrar of the University of Benin, Mr. Ademola Obola, who is here represented by Mrs. C.I. Lehigiato. The Deputy Registrar of the Medical Sciences, this university. The boss is also here. Dr. Victor Imagwe is represented by Dr. Dominic H. Very especially, I want to recognize the Vice Chancellor of the faculty. Very purposeful, result-oriented, highly motivated. They, who within a very short time has transformed the faculty of life sciences and has now become the envy of all the faculties of the Vice Chancellor. The man with so much energy to do more. Ladies and gentlemen, if you appreciate what we have been doing, I need you to put your hands together and recognize and welcome the new faculty of life sciences and university. I very specially recognize, we refer to him as the father of our faculty, and in a very true sense of the word, is our father. If you are the faculty board, when you speak, well, the very first thing of the faculty of life science, the Diopa, the Ojowori, the Elogis, of the faculty of life sciences, our own father himself, Professor Thank you. I recognize very especially the former dean of the faculty of life sciences, Professor Mrs. Enabulele. Former dean faculty of life sciences, Professor Christopher Okaka, aka People Talk to People. Wow, somebody has just informed me that I'm joking with my job here because we have council members here and I'm going to introduce council members. Serious breach of protocol, please. Group a distinguished member of council of this great university, Professor Bisebonwe. Please let's put our hands together, please. Bisebonwe, you are welcome. Thank you, man. The day, wow, somebody has just informed me that students is here, we refer to him as the number one student of this great university, Professor Patrick. Put your hands together for him, please. He is the number one student of this university with matriculation number 000001. Ladies and gentlemen, while introduction is done, let me recognize very especially a wonderful lady, Professor Mrs. N. Ademola. for you to meet this morning because anytime I call somebody from PBB department, I think they are not. Thank you very much. Do pardon me. Sometimes when you have a microphone like this and your very good friend is in the audience, you tend to forget that there's something is much more than a very good friend of yours. He's here as the dean of Faculty of Arts. But because he's my very good friend, I've been calling on that and sort of let him out. Apologize, most sincerely, sir. Apologize. Ladies and gentlemen, please, let's put our hands together for the Dean of the Faculty of Arts, Professor Boy, here represented by Professor Constantine the Tremble Lucas, Dean Faculty of Arts. Faculty of Arts. Let me also very specially recognize the Chairman of the University of Benin Alumni Association, Dr. Benson. Greetings. Blessing the chop starch this morning. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, also the distinguished alumnus of our university, distinguished alumnus of the University of the Faculty of Life Sciences, the distinguished alumnus of the Department of Animal and Environmental Biology, Professor M.S.O. Essien. Also sharing that type as a distinguished alumnus of the University of Benin, of the Faculty of Life Sciences, of the Department of Animal and Environmental Biology, and the Chairman of the Local Organizing Committee, Professor Anthony Ekata Ogberu. Greetings. We have so many friends of the faculties that are here this morning. I deliberately let out our guest lecturer because a detailed introduction of him will be done in a few minutes. Let's meet him. He is Engineer Doyle Edeni, Group Managing Director, CEO of Blue Seals Energy Global Incorporated. He is our guest lecturer today. Can we put our hands together for him, please? Thank you so much. Many of us are wearing masks and I can't see your faces right now, but permit me to recognize the Assistant Dean of School of Postgraduate Studies, Dr. Mrs. Iheseke. Dr. Isioma Tongo. Professor Aigboha is also here. Thank you so much for coming. Okay, some of you don't know that it's from your department it's the Department of PBB. I'm sure if you know the applause will be higher. Professor Enato, thank you for coming. I appreciate your presence. And right behind you, Professor Moses Osawaro of PBB department. Is that the bishop? There's only one bishop in the faculty. That is Bishop Barry Omobai, microbiology department. Thank you. Other introductions I will do in a few minutes, but I think we should get started with this lecture. Emeritus Professor Igene, you are welcome, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Please, ushers, let's have the names of some of our very distinguished guests here. And then, Professor Ekaisen, please come forward, please. You are a member of council, you can go to the back. Please come forward. Professor Fred Osaro Ekaisen, please come forward. Thank you. He's a member of council of the University of Benin, Microbiology Department. Please do come forward. Take a seat beside Alex Nuleko here. Thank you. If you don't know his department, it's microbiology. And he's a member of council of the University of Benin. Thank you. Professor Dennis Biogo, thank you for coming. I appreciate your presence. And so, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, we want to invite to give a welcome address the Dean of the Faculty of Life Sciences, Professor Jerry Owo. Please let us welcome our Dean.
Vice-Chancellor Man, ably represented by the DVC Ekewa, Professor John Ogene, the Registrar of our University, Mr. Ademola Bobala, represented by Mrs. C. Egiato, the Bolsa, also ably represented, all former deans of the Faculty of Life Sciences, deans from 6 staff faculties, or I'm not too sure, Emeritus Professor T.O.K. Awudu, I hope he's been recognized. Good to have you, sir. All other emeritus professors present, professors, my dear colleagues, students of the Great University of Benin. This is a very historic moment for me, for several reasons. And number one, it tells me how old I'm becoming. Every time I see a distinguished lecturer for this morning, it reminds me that I'm growing older. Not just growing taller, but growing older by the day. Our very distinguished lecturer for today, Engineer Toyle Eden, together with all those who are in his entourage, it's my great pleasure to warmly welcome him to the University of Benin, popularly referred to as Uninext. I thought he would celebrate. I did not intend to give an opening speech or a welcome speech that will be longer than the Vice-Chancellor's opening speech or our distinguished lecturer's lecture for today. Permit me to say that it's been great joy for us, the Faculty of Life Sciences, since we learned of the homecoming of our own alumnus, Engineer Toyle Eden. Since taking over as Dean of the Faculty of Life Sciences, a little over 1 year ago, we were just 1 year in office last week, 25th of January, 2020. We have tried the bit we could to try to change the narrative, to try to improve on the things we have met. This is not an occasion to tell the story of where we are coming from and where we are now and where we hope to go. We will save that lengthy story for another day. But suffice to say, on this occasion, that Engineer Toyle, and then people send it to me and say, he's an engineer. Why is he coming to give your alumnus lecture? I say, well, it's important for me to put the records clear here that Engineer Toyle and then graduated from this university as a graduate of the Department of Biochemistry. And I thought I should make that very clear. And not that I was told, but that he was my classmate. And one thing that has kept us together for this long is the high level of integrity and trustworthiness that this man has exhibited. I remember way back in school, we had to unseat a departmental president and their SO for eating our money and not accounting for it. And that's the way it has always been. Accountability has always been watchword for us. He was not just an academic person, he was a sportsman. In fact, he was the team manager of our football team way back in school in biochemistry. But having said that, what intrigued me most about him is not all that he has become, but for the fact that he doesn't ever forget to ask, how is UNIMED? How is the faculty? How is biochemistry? A couple of years ago, while I was still head of the Department of Biochemistry, and we also reached out to him, the very distinguished Professor Mrs. Enabulele was Dean of the Faculty at that time. He had also generously donated to us laboratory equipment to aid learning and teaching and learning in the department. So this is not his first homecoming. This is the second. And he has promised me that the third one will follow very, very soon. But what's most beautiful is that every time he visits, he leaves something behind. On this occasion, he's here to give a lecture, but beyond giving a lecture, a few other things will follow suit. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like again to very warmly welcome you to this occasion. I promise that my speech will not be longer than this lecture. I'd like to welcome all of you, and as I will sit back, as we receive our distinguished alumnus, who has come back to teach us how we taught of us many years ago. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dean of our faculty. And just before I invite the Vice Chancellor to give his address, let me very quickly recognize and very warmly those in the entourage of our guest lecturer today. Mr. Corrado is here. Thank you, Mr. Corrado, you're welcome. Pastor Sheva Orbasa is also here. Thank you. Mr. Johnson Olorufemi is here. Mr. Marvin, thank you for coming. Professor Jude Ikewuchi. Okay. Rosemary Franca. Rosemary Franca, my entourage. And of course, last but not the least in that team is Barrister Gideon. Thank you. Very quickly, I want to welcome Professor Mrs. K. Egafuna. Okay. Dr. Mrs. Rachel Okoji, the Assistant Dean of the Faculty. Working very hard. Thank you so much. We also want to recognize Dr. Uyi Osariekirem, my department. Thank you. I can see Professor Atwanya here. Professor Atwanya, you're welcome. Dr. Mrs. Ibinosa saw her earlier. Yeah, there she is over there. And of course, I have to recognize your husband, because you know what will happen if I don't recognize him. It will subtract some money from housekeeping. Director, GST, University of Benin, Dr. Ibinosa. And I can see our friend, Professor N. Okorie is here. Professor J. Olomokoro is there. Professor Shitu, I can see you from here. And of course, I can see Dr. Lugard for these rounds of introduction. I'll get across to others later. And now I have the singular honor and pleasure that I do not intend to share with any other person here, to invite the Vice Chancellor, Professor Lillian Salami, here represented by Deputy Vice Chancellor, Kewa Campus, Professor John Ogene, to please give the opening address.
You can tell him what you want. Just tell him.
Thank you, University Orator. My name is Professor John Ogene. I will stand on the existing protocol earlier established by the Dean. I am here to represent my principal and mentor, the very distinguished Professor Lillian Salami, Vice Chancellor, University of Benin, and the co-chairperson, Committee of Vice Chancellors of Nigerian Universities. I am glad to be here at this first distinguished Alumnus lecture organized by the Faculty of Life Sciences. I am also pleased that the Faculty of Life Sciences has continued to excel in so many areas, especially academic content development and improvement of infrastructure. This administration takes very seriously the issue of alumni relations. Not only do we have a very vibrant directorate in charge of alumni matters, we have continued to reach out and connect with graduates of this great citadel of learning all over the world. As part of our graduate tracing initiative, we are currently and steadily updating our alumni database to ensure that UNIBEN graduates or graduates remain connected to their roots. With over 350,000 graduates from the university in our 51st year history, UNIBEN ranks high not only in Nigeria but across the world amongst reputable institutions that are contributing significantly to human capital development across the globe. Our products, including the guest speaker today, Engineer Doyle Edeni, have continued to distinguish themselves in their various fields of human endeavor. This high success rate lays credence not only to our claim as UniBest of the universe, but also to the high level of intellectual discipline and character building to which our students are exposed to while in school. These attributes, they readily show in the workplaces, as many reports that we get so indicate. Today's lecture tagged Bridging the Gap Between the Academia and the Industry and Alumnus Perspective, therefore, is apt as a need to ensure a synergy between universities' curricula and the demands as well as expectations of the industry cannot be overemphasized. No doubt, the guest lecturer, a proud graduate of this great citadel of learning and one who has had almost 3 decades of industry experience, is sufficiently equipped with the first-hand knowledge to deliver on the subject matter. As a university, we are striving to ensure that we remain the best in spite of the myriad of challenges, especially the progressively dwindling funding from government. It is no longer news that government alone is unable to fund education. This is even more so at the tertiary level, and while we continue to seek for more and more help from philanthropists and corporate organizations, we are nevertheless not unaware of the fact that our alumni base of over 350,000 who are our worthy ambassadors is our greatest resources. The university relies on them to constantly give back their resources, time and talent to make the difference between UniBest and others. I am aware that the lecturer has previously donated state-of-the-art laboratory equipment to the Department of Biochemistry. I also have been informed that apart from the lecture, there is going to be the commissioning of a workstation with uninterrupted power supply. The workstation which has solar energy as alternative source of power, is expected to increase the productivity of our academic staff as they deliver the right contents to the students. I commend everyone who ensure the actualization of the project. While management is committed to the improvement of working conditions of staff and conducive learning environment for students, we urge all hands to be on deck to ensure that we move the university to greater heights. I thank you for listening and enjoy everyone to sit back as our time and one-time student takes his turn to lecture us today. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Put your hands together for the Vice Chancellor of this great university, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. C. Ugbeni, you are welcome. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me very quickly recognize. I'm sure at the time I made this recognition, you know why. The wife of the Dean of our faculty, Mrs. S. J. Ore, the head of our Admin Center for Maritime Studies at this great university. Thank you, thank you. People are giving her that small clap. Wife of the Dean. It's okay. If there's no food for the Dean later in the evening, it is your fault. See, they don't clap for me well. I have here also the Dean of the Faculty of Law, Professor Violet Agbohaibo, who is here represented by Dr. E.O. of Yosu. Thank you. I want to specially recognize also Professor K. Ahibe of Mental Health Department. You're welcome, sir. Professor Akpata of Dentistry Department. Thank you so much for coming. Don't pardon me. The mask. My friend, Professor E. Dabo in Management Sciences is here. Thank you for coming. And of course, Dr. Mrs. I.F. Iyamo, the Director of Institute of Education, is also here. Madam, you're welcome. Thank you so much. And so, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we're gradually approaching the main course for this program, which is the lecture. But just before that, I want to respectfully invite our guest lecturer to please come out here to be adorned by the University of Benin Alumni Association, MOFLA, by Director of Alumni Relations of this university, Dr. Stephen Obeki.
Greatest uniform. It is my singular honor to decorate our guest lecturer with this alumni insignia. This is a proof that he is a truly graduate and alumnus of the University of Benin. Please give me a big round of applause. Greatest uniform.
All right, thank you very much. No, just remain. No. Hello? Yeah, just stay there. Yeah, thank you. And so, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I just want to vacate my role as the master of as the master of ceremony of this occasion and put the garb of the University of Benin orator. And so, in my capacity as the orator of the University of Benin, I have the pleasure to introduce our guest lecturer today. I respectfully and with great admiration present our guest speaker, who holds a Bachelor of Science, Biochemistry, University of Benin, Master of Science, Chemical Engineering, River State University of Science and Technology, and Certificate in General Management, Harvard Business School. A consummate entrepreneur, an environmental activist of phenomenal courage, an accomplished chemical engineer, an astute manager and globetrotter, a great philanthropist of unparalleled zeal and zest, a distinguished and proud alumnus of the University of Benin, Chief Executive Officer of Chapters, Glossy, and Hilton Groups of Company, Engineer Doyle, Rogotelojo Eken. Doyle's 25 years foray and peregrination in the business world has seen him acquire unparalleled expertise and competencies in the chemical process industry and high-level management in oil and gas engineering, renewable energy, and sustainable development. He has led several successful international water, process, environmental decontamination, power and steel, fertilizer, agrochemical, refining, petrochemical, and oil field startup operations to maintenance projects across different continents. Our guest lecturer has undergone many professional and management training courses within and outside Nigeria related to chemical engineering and process design and management, process plant maintenance, best practices, health, safety and environment, leadership, and general management. His meritorious service, dedication, doggedness, and commitment to work in these diverse roles with its accompanying responsibilities has propelled him to the great mountain top of an achiever, an accomplished, respected, and acclaimed man. He is a member of the American Institute of Chemical Engineers, USA, the American Chemical Society, the Nigerian Society of Engineers, and the National Association of Corrosion Engineers, USA. He is also a certified chemical process specialist, stroke technical expert. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, perhaps his greatest work is as a philanthropist and other similar vocations. He is the patron of several organizations including Clean Water Initiative and PAI Foundation. These are two major charities actively working towards promotion of education, eradication of waterborne diseases in Africa, and combating poverty across the African continent, respectively. He is the immediate past director of Chance for Africa, a faith-based charity headquartered in San Antonio, Texas, USA, that provides basic education to destitute children in the continent. On the national front, our guest lecturer is the convener of the Stand Up, Speak Out Initiative, SUSO, a citizenship advocacy project whose mission is to inspire good citizenship across Africa, including identifying and celebrating the excellence of young unheralded Nigerians that are making a mark in their chosen field of human endeavors. Doyle Edeni is currently pursuing a PhD degree in organizational leadership at Our Lady of the Lake University, San Antonio, Texas, USA. He is widely traveled and has worked across Africa, Asia, Europe, and North America. He is a published author and he enjoys writing, traveling, sports, and Christian missionary work. He currently resides in the United States of America and is married with children. Mr. Vice Chancellor, the Dean, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is this man of enormous intellectual ability with a robust performance in the field of chemical engineering, a celebrated and a successful entrepreneur, a distinguished alumnus, and an excellent ambassador of the University of Benin that I now humbly request to deliver the Distinguished Alumnus Lecture Series of the Faculty of Life Sciences titled Bridging the Gap Between the Academia and the Industry, an Alumnus Perspective. The guest lecturers.
Greatest Universe students, articulate Universe students, indefatigable Universe students. Thank God it's Tuesday. You've not heard that one before, have you? There's a story behind that. I am so privileged and honored to be back home. Maybe you have heard it, maybe you have not. But I have been to some of these other so-called Ivy League institutions. I deliberately did not write about some of them in my profile because I don't see the use for it really. However, if I am asked anywhere, where did you graduate from? I am very quick to say from the University of Benin. I say that because it was here I found myself and I believe I found my purpose as a human being that was placed on the face of this earth. And I say thank God it's Tuesday for a special reason because just behind us here is the famous lecture theater known as the 500 LT. If you are in a class of 91 and 92, I want you to feel specially welcome here this morning. I want you to go ahead and rise as we applaud you. Because you are a survivor. How is it possible that a lecture theater that was made for just 500 people, please go ahead and sit down, that over 1,500 people crowded in there, day in and day out, slugging it out in request for education. And thank God we survived. I will tell you, on that Tuesday morning when I was in that hall, I saw a young man that was dripping in tears. He was paralyzed with agony. As I stared intently at this man, this young boy just about my age, I did not understand how somebody could imagine bringing such an agony on another person. I normally will sit on the second or the third row of that class because, as you can see, I am very, very tall, so I know my level. And so I saw this man, I saw this young boy like myself, just crying and crying. He's not screaming, but tears were streaming down. His calculator, his scientific calculator had been stolen. And just hear me out. And as I looked at him, I began to imagine how many of such calls we have been getting. People leave homes and come to this place to learn. with resources that are very lame. And yet, there are some of us that came there with an ulterior motive. I don't know where it came from, but the lecturer was a little late in coming to class that morning. And I strolled to the front of the class. And if you hear the noise there, you will not be able to speak. We didn't have microphone. So your lack as a student did not start today. As far back as about 30 years ago, exactly 30 years ago, I was in that hall right there. And I told them, excuse me. Nobody was listening. I said it a second time, excuse me. Nobody paid any attention. I don't know where the strength came from and where that voice came from. And I banged my hands on that table and said, you must hear me, excuse me. In the next few seconds, that hall fell dead. If you were dead that day, you will never forget. And I told the story of this young man that has come, that his whole village has contributed to be able to bring him to come to the university. Remember, I have not spoken to this guy, I just saw him crying. And I told that moving story about how now, as a result of somebody making the deliberate choice to take what the village, the entire village had contributed in order for him to be amongst us, are threatening his very existence. And this guy cannot even go back to that village again. And everybody, people were saying, who could have done this? Some of the thieves, I believe, were saying the same thing. But to cut a long story short, before we left that hall today, that day, we recovered about 8 scientific calculators. That is the power of human connection. No matter how bad a guy is, no matter how evil a man seems, if you appeal to their inner conscience, they were placed here on the face of the earth. They have an inner self that we need to tap in order for us to start realizing our true potential. And mark that word, true potential. Because we can misapply our talents, all the resources that we are given, in the wrong direction. It's just for us to look for a connection to bring everybody. And that morning, from that morning, God gave me a voice on this campus. To the extent, for the 4 years that I spent here, if you came to the main gate, you will, if you ask for somebody called Telex, that was my pet name, it's still my pet name among many of my old friends. They will bring you, and we were in the process of trying to just get an education by interacting with others and playing our role. So I am so grateful and honored to be before my professors, my teachers, all of you who have contributed in no small measure to help me become, not just me, and on behalf of all the other alumni that have graduated from this school, to help us become whom we have become. Let's put our hands together for our teachers and professors. How is it possible that we can become something else and we start saying something else? That's a picture of my family there. I'm blessed with a wonderful wife. Her name is Eva. And we are blessed with 3 children. Before I got married to my wife Eva, I prayed for 3 kids, David, Daniel, and Asher. As you may realize, all of them came. Even though the reason that one is so small among them is that there's an age gap of about 6 years, because after the first 2 boys, I realized that it was not probably the right prayer that I said. I should have asked for a girl. So we took a break, prayed and fasted, and in the end, God gave us another boy with a double portion of my spirit. When God has answered your prayers, He doesn't change His mind. Just like you and every other alumni, if you are here, I came here and, like they have said, I was the interim chair of the National Association of Biochemistry Students after we sacked that corrupt regime. And it was just a simple question of engagement. As I spoke to the student union government with all the faculty leaders yesterday about how we need to engage, how we need to cut a new reputation for UNIBEM, about the need for us to gather the strong men and sit them down for them to know that when they wreak those havoc, they are giving us a bad name and making it difficult for those of us who are trying to help. That all of us need to come to our senses and work together, that everybody is a stakeholder and we need to play our respective role. And I hope this morning, if you are there in that hall, you are a member of those groups I belong to some fraternities that they call the Harvard fraternities and things like that. But we don't kill people, we don't maim people, we don't fight. It's a battle of ideas, and that is what is ruling the world today. And that was the challenge I gave the student union government yesterday, that we must move from where we are focused on self and using force and power to try to force our opinion on others. We have held those people accountable, and I must thank the courage of men like Professor E.A.C. Wanze, who was a vice chancellor of this university. They supported us, and we succeeded in bringing those people to book. And many times we sought and looked for candidates. My brother here and friend Jerry, Professor Orwe, was the person who stood for election and became eventually the president of NAPS. So, coming through here, I got an education, and that's why I'm most grateful. Because I did not want to be educated traditionally. Where you come in here, I did not understand why we have to be given information and asked to reproduce that information. I thought if you plant a seed, after planting the seed should grow and germinate and bring a plant that will eventually grow fruits. And inside that fruit will be a lot of seeds. That is only when our endeavor is judged to be fruitful. I didn't understand why you score somebody, and I have no apologies for that viewpoint, quite frankly. Because this is a university, a center of learning where we should challenge some existing ideas and principles and see if we can prove them wrong in order for us to be able to show something more perfect. As young as I was, I knew in myself, because I had come here to actually study medicine. I knew I was smart enough that if I didn't waste all my time going to class and just cramming all those old books that were about 20 years old. Leninja was about 20 years old by my research when I was here. I don't know if you are still using that book. If you are using it, you need to really check. Because life has gone on. There are so many other books that have been written. But I purposed in my heart that I wasn't going to be drawn into this. I wasn't a rude boy. Every lecturer that lectured me here will say I am respectful, because we have a culture in Africa that is unequaled by any other culture in the world, where we are respectful to our elders. That is a fact. I live in America, but I raise my children as African children. I don't beat them. So I was very respectful. That does not mean that I was not engaging. And that does not mean that when I disagreed with a situation, I did not speak up. But there are manners and there are ways that we can approach all that. And that's why my lecture today is going to be like none other. It's not going to be giving you data that was crunched up in Europe and North America and so on and so forth, and start telling you this is the secret to life. I am not so sure that the white people, and I'm not racist, but I'm very African conscious as well. That because I've been raised by Americans who have really done everything for me. And I'll show you a little bit of that story as we go along. So I respect where they have been, but I have gone to learn in order to bring hope, because there's so much opportunity back home here. And so as a result, we have this unique opportunity in Nigeria. As you go through, you make your choices as students today. I am speaking to you directly that you have a chance to determine your own destiny. The teachers that are here are supposed to provide you a guide. They will give you material that are supposed to trigger off some things that God is buried in you, and you are supposed to run with that. That is why you are in this university, to discover your true self and what you can commit to in life. So I was the deputy editor of the Universe Pilot, a member of the Creative Writers Workshop. Yesterday, I launched my book, some of the poems I wrote 20 years ago, many thanks to the likes of Dr. Chinyere Okafor at that time, Professor Steve Ogude, and Prince Tony Afejeku. They used to critique my work and say, what do you think about this poem and things like that. I took out time to interact with others because I had set out to get an education. And I thank God that I did. I was the pastor of my fellowship here. I was not saying because I was a pastor, I would forget my culture. I ensured we formed my ethnic association, Igbo Students Association, and I led it for the number of years that I was here. When I brought Igbo Wonder to this place, you know that masquerade that goes so high and then disappears. People say this pastor is doing juju. I say it's your own. I say I'm not doing juju. I wanted to, if I'll be asking them questions about what is the trick by which you do this. And once I find it out, I'm going to make a lot of money for myself and my town out of it. Because I'm researching it. There's something they have that they are not divulging, but I'm engaging because we cannot lose the technology or the ability we have in search of another. Those are the things that I believe if you have in your village, start researching them, because at the end of the day, the white men were burning witches in the olden days. Then they suddenly stopped. Did you realize? And then a few years later, they started flying airplanes. I'm curious as to the conversation I had between the witches and those inventors. Always very curious. So let me go straight to the matter of today. Bridging the gap between the academia and the industry. The question I hopefully will try to answer in the course of this, and before I even go there, I know his name was mentioned. I have the privilege of one very special guest here. He's the Chief Operating Officer of our company in Nigeria, our group of companies. He has been in Nigeria and all over the world running a multi-million-dollar corporation. He was the former MD of Saipem in Nigeria and everywhere else. And speaking of no other person than our amiable and very hardworking Mr. Corrado Botazi. Please rise up as we acknowledge him. So the topic for today is bridging the gap between the academia and the industry. The question we'll seek to answer is there a gap between the academia and the industry in Nigeria? What is the link between the academia and industrial revolution generally across the world? And if there is a link, why has Nigeria's case been so different? And then finally, as we ask those questions, we start looking at ways that we can bridge the gap. What can we do to move our people forward? I'm a writer, I'm a storyteller, so I try to make people remember what I said. Not any boring lecture that you have in some of your classes, not all. Some of your classes are really, really very boring. When I was there, some were boring. I'll try to wind this one around with some stories that you can remember, and hopefully that will act as a catalyst for you to discover some things that you can do to help out in this direction. The academia serves to bridge, as a bridge that fills the knowledge gaps in any developing economy. If you read of any country that has developed today, there is no way they have gotten to where they are. Be it Singapore, be it the old Western economies like the North America and Europe, they relied heavily on the academic community. The university is the center of research. To the extent that after the first wave of industrial revolution, people saw this potential and started instituting what they now call research and development departments, the R&D department of most major corporations. Companies like Apple and Microsoft, IBM that came before them, that is how they got their edge in the industry. They look for the best brains in the university and go to poach those people and bring them in, offering mouth-shattering packages in order for them to leave the academic community and come and practice what they are doing at a smaller level at their university to a larger scale. And that is how countries have evolved. Is what I'm saying strange to anybody? No. So, it is not strange, it is a known fact. And the academia are mostly domiciled in research institutions. But like I said, now they have moved to major corporations. Even oil companies are seeking ways to do business. There are days that are now set for elimination of emission. There are several improvements that must be made in the oil industry if we are going to retain fossil fuel as a source of energy. We are now transitioning to even alternative sources of energy. These are driven by the academia. People that have the time and the resource and the diligence and the commitment to be able to see through whatever it is that they've set their heart to. And that has been the enviable place that the academia has occupied over time. But in Nigeria, what has been the story? What has been our stories? I will ask you these questions. How many companies accept sabbaticals from the University of Benin? Why should knowledge-based people that are the repository of knowledge begging companies that need their service to come and serve them? Have we asked ourselves those questions? I went to Harvard. At the time I arrived there in 2011, the endowment of Harvard was about 28 billion or so. And they fund research. They fund a whole lot of endeavors by their tenured professors, even other staff of their faculties. As I speak with you today, if you go online, the Harvard endowment is 53.5 billion. All these are funded by alumni, people who believe in research. So, people, they are in constant demand of going to companies to study their industrial processes and recommend better ways of doing things. That is what the academia exists for, not only molding the minds of the students that are in school, but also what they do is to make sure that they can support the industrial growth and development of any nation. We had the chance of speaking with, having a meeting with the Vice Chancellor of this university yesterday. And out of curiosity, we were just having a chat that, so, are you funded and so on and so forth. You received, this university graduated about 17,000 students last year. This university receives about, how much was it again? They receive about 10 million in a month to run this university. But your electricity bill alone from Benin Electrical Distribution Company is 60 million. How is that possible? That we can have a situation like that in a national university of renown as the University of Benin. So by default, you are designed to fail. Because how do you meet up? Where are you going to get those resources from? Just one element, power bill. I was talking to those people, the creative minds yesterday at the creative writers workshop, that if I saw that challenge myself, and I'm in the electrical and mechanical engineering department, I start thinking about opportunities to negotiate with this university to give us about, say, 20 million to start designing something to make sure we take those people out. You cannot be cannot be academics or in the academia or people that are knowledgeable, and then you don't look for ways to be able to improve your system. You are allowing people to come here and take your money away. I don't believe this school needs to pay 60 million to anybody every month. How is that possible? Why don't you give some of those monies back to the people here? They design something more beautiful. There are alternatives in case you don't know. And I'm challenging every single person who is an engineer here in those divisions that are responsible with electricity to study it more. What does it mean when somebody tells us we have 60 million bill? For me, it means an opportunity to be able to look for other ways. There are alternatives. There are universities that have gone fully solar now. And this is the headquarters of the sun on earth. Think about it. So we will continue this sort of conversation, and we need to confront these issues, because if we don't, we are going to be singing the same song, just like my colleagues in the student union in those days. They were saying they want to chase out those people in power, that they are bad leaders. Those are the same people that are leading us now. Things are worse than it was when we were fighting for June 12th and other causes when I was in this campus. They are the ones that are hiring talks and chasing people everywhere. It is very, very important that we start speaking to each other directly. When I was in Port Harcourt, when I started my career, I used to be the assistant secretary of Uniben Alumni Association. For you to get people from Shell to come for meetings, they will be feeling as if they are something else. And more than half of those engineers were from Uniben. Each time we went for those engagement meetings, they are feeling that they belong somewhere. Fortunately, I was working for an American company. I used to tell them my own story so that they do not think they are the only ones that are living in El Dorado. I was employed 3 months after I left this university. The Americans begged me to take that job in that Nalco Exxon and not go and take the job in Chevron I was going to take a year after. And what did I do? I just organized a meeting because they were in a crisis situation, soft people skills. All these associations I knew how to manage crisis. I knew how to do stuff. And the Americans employed me for a job that required a 10-year experience. They gave me that job. They gave me, thank you. I didn't know how to drive. They gave me the task to interview a driver that I wanted. They sent me to the US. I have never flown a business class before. They put me in one big seat like this that I was just a small boy inside. I was wondering why this big seat for me. When I arrived Chicago O'Hare Airport, I saw a limousine for the first time with a man holding my name tag, standing there. I was totally confused. And he walked up to me because he had my picture. He said, "Are you Doyle?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Please enter, open the car." A white man opening the car for me for that matter. I entered. I said, "Life has started." Those people were so intense in keeping me that they gave me a credit card for a $20 billion corporation. They gave me a credit card, Visa, without limits. That time there was no credit card in Nigeria. I shopped and shopped. The only mistake I made, like I told people yesterday, is that I did not go and buy a private jet and fly back home with it. But the point I'm making is that we have to ask ourselves the question: why are companies not accepting sabbaticals? As we engage those people in Shell, they gave some reasons that is really concerning to me, which I believe the academia needs to examine. Those of you that have been accepted, when you went there, what value did you deliver? What was your contribution? What about those who are internship? People don't want you are training chemical engineers that they don't have a place that they will intern. The past few months, I told Jerry, we just opened a small contact office here in Benin. I want a Unibank student that is smart and ready to work their head off and be able to walk to the top to fill that position. I've been telling Jerry, I need to fill that position since around, I don't know, maybe September or something like that. You must find me somebody. I've interviewed one person that we thought, okay, should come. He said, no, I want to stay in Port Harcourt because I have family. And just in case you are looking for a job and you are smart, or you think you are smart, you go through the process, but that's an opportunity for you to apply. Because I believe that we have enough people in this place that can really be able to manage the opportunities that are local here. Because for our company, we are smart enough to know that we will not pay you any relocation allowance. We will look for somebody that can fill the gap and be able to do some work. So it's not true that people are not opening their doors. Some of us have gone for sabbaticals or internship, and we don't create value there. How will they ask you to come back and take an employment if you are not responsible enough? You cannot apply the common principles that you have learned in the classroom. Who is to blame? Why has Nigerian case been so different? Industries in Nigeria do not seem to derive so much value, like I said. Naturally, companies are attracted to individuals that are going to improve their bottom line. Why am I having you here? The purpose of setting up a company is to make profits. Because they are mostly non-profit. Unless you are working for a charitable organization, even with that, you are expected, you are given a job description about the deliverables on your job. They give you the KPIs in terms of what you must deliver in order for you to retain that position. That's a fact. You have the ability. You applied for those jobs. You said you were going to deliver, and you must. Especially if you bear that name, I am from Unibank. There's a certain quality that people expect, minimum, because some of us have gone ahead of you and we have worked ahead of to earn the university that reputation. Why should you bring us down? Because you will not study, you are busy searching lecturers. I interviewed a young lady, she attended even a private university. I was shocked by the level of ignorance she had about her chosen course that she said she had a 2-2 for. And I said, please come, tell me the truth. what did you learn? And she said, she broke down and said, I ghosted it. I said, what do you mean? She means she paid lecturers in order for her to be given a degree. And if you are here this morning, you are collecting money from students in order to pass them to the level. I say, shame on you, and I have no apology to you. Shame on you. You are taking this nation backward. You are making it impossible for your children and your grandchildren to survive. You are selling them as slaves that are going to be looking at the white man and saying, all those people where we carry these hands, we carry those beggarly plates to start saying, please give us grant and whatever. What is wrong with the resources in this nation? Have you ever thought about it? That we have crude oil, we are unable to refine it. Is that process so complex? All the presentations and seminars we have had in the NMPC, when I had a chance to speak, I challenged them and said, what are we doing? Now you are looking for 3 trillion to subsidize fuel. For who? How is it done? How can a mind that is rational conceive or contemplate such a thing? The money will end up in the pockets of a lot of people. And we say we are labor. Learned people that pretend to be speaking for the masses. Which masses? Check the pricing of fuel. It has consistently gone up. The price of food items have consistently gone up. Over the years, it never goes down. What is the economic principle or policy that we are pursuing today in Nigeria? Nobody knows. Yet, we have some people who are crossing from a party to another. And I'm not a politician. But I have no patience at all for a system that people are just keeping quiet. It cannot be. This is the center of learning. This is the center of debate. The agitation for knowledge must start here. It doesn't matter whether somebody is from the north, from the south, and the west. It doesn't matter your religion. Here, I was on this campus, we elected 2 Muslims in a free and fair election to lead the nation because of the message that they presented. There was hope across the land. There was a desire for change, and people could sense it. What happened? How many of us stood up? If you look at that video when Abiola came here, if you can retrieve that video, you see some boys that were running. I was one of those boys. I used to have those videos because we were agitated and saying that we are going to move forward. But if we did not realize our dream then, it doesn't mean that our dream should die. I believe that if I'm the only person that remains on the face of this earth, I am going to fight because there's a reason why I was born here in Africa, from my village. And if you go and ask my king in my village, he will tell you that we have a worthy son. Somebody who knows where he came from. So all of us have to take ownership and responsibility for building our nation, because we are not going to solve the problem by just saying that, oh, they didn't take me in that company. You, who is in 10, if you want to come and serve in any company, how are you preparing yourself? There are certification courses that you can do that will make you much more relevant. They are online. Instead of spending your time in Facebook, Instagram, and following Obi Kobana and the money they are spreading on the internet. And some of them, I don't know how they make their money, but they seem to have a load of money. I don't know how much tax they pay. For me, it's an opportunity for Nigeria to raise more money. If they are so billionaires, all of them, they should be paying taxes. And don't steal their taxes. Use it to do something, fix the roads. Let us have running water and things like that. Simple ideas that are not complex. So I told you, if you thought I was going to prepare some old boring notes to give to you here, you are going to be disappointed. But I believe that you are going to leave here thinking about yourself. What can I do differently? That's the purpose of this alumni lecture. So our current educational system of trying to teach people where students are expected to commit to memory whatever they are taught to class, and they are not challenged to give us what is the output. When there is an input, we should not equal the output, because there will be no value added. Simple. Just simple equation. Input is equal to output. That output is supposed to be different from the input. For a professor who gives 100% because input is output, I want you to re-examine what you are actually doing. How can it be? You gave something to somebody. You say, what do you do with this? Look at the Bible even. God gave them 1 talent, 2 talents, and 5 talents. The one that came with the 1 talent and did nothing with it, did he get any reward? So why are you rewarding students for giving you back, just regurgitating what you gave to them? So don't tell me that the National University Commission has given you some guideline. What guideline? If it's absolute rubbish, we tear it. This is a university. We will do what we have to do in order for us to make progress. That is the watchword, progress. We will defy anything in order for us to be able to achieve what the original aim of setting this university and others for. Don't hide behind excuses. How many of us are involved in research, real research? Some of us will get grants, you will now become your private lab. You don't allow other people to have access. As Jerry was saying, I had left this university about 19 years earlier or so when I came that time, or 19, 20 years. And I came back, we were just taking a tour when he became the head of department. I said, I'll come visit you. And we were there just going around. And I was curious, I saw this bottle, this reagent bottle, on one side of that lab, staying there, undisturbed. I thought I recognized it about 19, 20 years earlier. I said, Jerry, what on earth is going on here? I looked at that thing. It was somebody appears to have gone there to clean it up. But it is so expired that I don't even know the date it expired. It is there. For me, it represented stagnation. How can it be? How can you blame that on lack of resources? At least you should have moved it away. Because you are promoting an environment that does not encourage people to think outside the box. They are used to the same old things that they encounter. And that is not going to move us forward as a nation. So I told Jerry, please, can we take this thing away? And we took it away. Sat down and looked at what they will need, and so on and so forth. It cost some money, but not to the extent that it closed either my personal or my company resources down. And we got some things done because those students needed a better opportunity. So we need to look at the way we are training these children. You can go on the internet. We are going to talk about a few more resources to support the university system, but you can go on the internet. In the nearest future, and they are with us now, artificial intelligence will generate computers and robots that have better memory than human beings. So we cannot be training children to compete with machines because we will not be able to meet up. We can't be training people for a job now that they will lose tomorrow. What's the point? So we need to think differently about how we are raising our next generation. What can be done to begin addressing this gap? I'm a student of leadership. I came here a few years back. I said, Jerry, I don't want to do any other program in the US. I want to do a PhD in Uniben. So why don't I want to do chemical engineering, since that's the field that I found myself. By the way, I got posted to that chemical engineering firm, and then that was how I became interested in the subject. Very intriguing. But my background in chemistry, at both secondary level and at the university level, really prepared me for that job to do well. So I told Jerry that, okay, how can we begin that process? He directed me to a few people there at the Department of Chemistry, Chemical Engineering. So we sat down, we started talking. I was like, okay, I would like to do my PhD here. And we started that conversation. And once I was directed to somebody who was a potential supervisor, the person told me, what degree did you study what is your first degree? I told him biochemistry. He said, oh, no, I don't think you are qualified to do PhD in chemical engineering. I was astounded. I looked at this man, I said, with all due respect, sir, what do you mean by that? He said, there's a rule that if you didn't do this thing as a first degree, you don't have the right proper foundation. I said, really? I said, yes. He said, sir, how many years have you been in this department, he told me, I said, do you have anything you can put to your name to say, this is what I developed, this is what I've contributed to the field? He said, how do I mean? I explained to him again, and he did it. He only has some papers that he has gone to study and so on and so forth, and then he put the paper together, publish, pay maybe a publication house to publish it, and that is the basis. And I said, look at me, I didn't study chemical engineering as my first degree. I have a few products that I've developed that I now have the patents of. My children and grandchildren and some Nigerians that I'm training are benefiting from it. So between you and I, who is the chemical engineer? And I was not trying to sound immodest, but it was a useful conversation we needed to have. I said, go back to that association and tell them to change that rule. It's a useless rule. It does not add, what do you mean? It doesn't make any sense. This is a university, the center of debate, academic debate. So I told them that, unfortunately, from that point I made up my mind that what I need to study is not really chemical engineering, that I need to go and study leadership. That's the problem we have in this country. That's what informed my choice to now. Just abandon that, because what am I going to achieve in that field that I have not been able to achieve by God's grace? I have a company that is striving, and I have some patents that I've developed with many people and so on and so forth. So what is it that I was trying to? I just wanted to come back here to the University of Benin to do another program and be able to have the opportunity to see what is going on around. You know, so we had that conversation, and that's how I started studying leadership. So to cut a long story short, we need transformational leaders. When I say that, it's not about the courses you attended and you say, oh, it's transformational leadership. What does it mean? It means somebody like Jerry, for example, comes to the department, does a whole lot of things to change things, simple incremental steps to bring about a change in the department so that things can improve. Whoever is taking over from him from that department will build on those foundations. That is how developed economies have evolved. Just simple incremental steps. And it doesn't necessarily have to be your own ideas alone. Those that have done well, Henry Ford, Andrew Carnegie, all these Steve Jobs, they have a team of men and women, thinkers. They create the what they call the mastermind. It is true you are seeing that Elon Musk. Do you think he's the one that is thinking about all the ideas in Tesla? And here we have a lot of bright minds. It's about collaboration. It's about team leadership. It's about participative leadership. Any autonomous and self-protective leader will continue to think about him or herself. And this nation is replete with a lot of them. Most of our leaders are transactional. They are giving you something to be able to get something back. Some of them are passive avoidant. They will not do anything until it's too late. And some of them are laissez-faire. Lazy, unable to do anything. And I hope there are no professors in your staff that will not do anything. I see all the professors here. They are not as old as the Harvard professors. In Harvard, you see a professor of 78, 79. They are still professors studying every day and challenging you about the new wave. So we need to create those kind of environment in order for our country to be able to compete with others. I make no pretense even to the people I work with that are not Nigerians that you will get a fair chance here, but if you want to work with us, you have to be thinking about Nigeria, about resources that we can bring and what you can do to help. That is the first thing you must accept before you join our team. Because we cannot continue to be buying toothpicks, toilet roll and things like that and bring them from outside the country. How is it possible? People make those decisions. And some of us will live here and we go to those positions, we forget who we are. So we need to create an environment that stimulates original thought. Do not intimidate your students. Let them speak their minds. And I'm not saying they should be rude and disruptive of your classes. But let us set them up for synthesis. What do you think? Let's stop giving them notes and not asking anything in return. We need to develop soft skills and creativity that will rule, because they will rule the future. You inspire them by what you do. There were some people that were here, or we were just talking about yesterday about a professor, that the school curriculum means that you'll be able to do some sports and other things while you are here apart from classroom. We were supposed to just go and play a match. I was the football coach of our department that time. And we have set up, we were qualified for the semi-final of the Dean's Cup. And this guy just out of nowhere doesn't come to his class when the class is set. This professor, he now tells us not to go and play that match because he wants to fix his lecture period. At that time, we are supposed to go and play soccer. And he's threatening everybody that if we go there, all of us are going to fail. Is that the kind of environment you are supposed to create? These are people that have been in your classes all through. You are Lord and all. Such men, if they still exist in your faculty, you need to kick them out. As I said again, kick them out because they are not helping. They are not helping. You know, when you keep telling, for example, I've really engaged with a lot of people since I arrived here, and we're talking about the way we train our children. You are telling a child, because he does not have the same measure of aptitude as the other person, you are telling the child you have failed. Think about it. In class 1, you told the person he took last. In class 2, he took last. In class 3, he took last. You are re-emphasizing failure all through this person's life. You have damaged the emotion of this person, that every innate gift that he has, that he can use to compete. You have killed it. It is not true that child is a failure. That is an absolute lie. And that is why the Americans, they never have a first in the class. Everybody else has gone ahead of us, and we are doing the same old things that are causing problems in society. What is holding us back? We need men and women with courage. People who can make decisions and say, enough is enough. And that's what's going to move us forward. And I thank God that when I was here, I had courage to challenge a whole lot of things. Not rude, but I had the courage to say, this is what I want to be. That's why the last person, one of the last person I spoke with is right there, Stella. She was my mate. The day I finished my exams, I will never forget what they said. Stella, Osagwe, and Odia, our late colleague Odia that passed, unfortunately, a few years ago. And I don't know which of them was saying that, see, we thought that all this time we were doing all these things that we were just busy studying and studying and studying. At the end, you have graduated just like us. And now we feel that you are ready for life, and some of us don't even know the next chapter. And that was remarkable. And I was saying that don't worry, you can just start from any point. But if you guys listen to me, you should have done some other things. But just get ready. Remember the things that you need. It's not the degree that I got here in terms of the class. I got a 2-2, and I aspired to get that 2-2 because I knew that if I don't dedicate as much time as in doing all these things, I will not have as much time to get a 2-1. Tio, who was the secretary there, told me that if you had settled down to study, because he used to help me type some of my poems that I would write. That time there are no computers and things like that. They will not have personal computers. You will help me to type all those things. I used to wonder that why would you study? And I said, forget, don't worry. After 1 week, I go to my classes. I don't miss classes, but I don't stay in the library studying all day. No, never. No, I knew myself, and that is the first thing. It was the philosopher Socrates that said, man, know thyself. So I got the education, and then look at my friends now, they were telling me this. As I left them, I really felt pained. But I offered some words of encouragement. They knew I was going to succeed already. And it didn't start because somebody offered me a job later. It was the very things I did here on campus that prepared me to be able to embrace the success that I've had. The grace of God has been upon my life. But if I did not prepare for that grace to embrace that situation, it would have, my time here would have amounted to nothing. So we need to recognize and encourage students to explore all their talents. All, I don't mean some only. All their talents. If they say they want to be pop stars, it's fine. After all, some people will say a lizard was crawling there and the lizard just fell. And all of a sudden they are billionaires. Whatever they are saying, okay, but let us just give them guidance. Let us give them guidance. Create the environment for them to thrive. Be the change you want to see in the students. Today I am here. People have heard that I was there in that department, what I did. Idealized influence attributed to me. But I have come here also, not just let people hear what I am or what I have been, but also for them to see an example of what can be. So the professors as well, if you want people to change and they want them to aspire to a certain level, start exhibiting some of those characters as well. Let them see you as integrous. Let them see that you take them serious. You are creating a nation of people that they will look for you even when you are retired and gone to your village to come and say thank you, sir. Because they know the value of what you have delivered and how you have helped them to approach life, to find their path. That is how we are going to be able to build our nation, to bridge all the gaps that we find everywhere. If you create that kind of environment, it will lead to part of what I am going to share with you right now. These are some life stories. You know, in 2020, coronavirus set in late 2019. By 2020, around May, every state in the country has started locking down. I was in Nigeria and I was in Port Harcourt, River State. And the governor, Oyesa Wike, he made a proclamation and nobody, overnight, no preparation at all, he just locked down the state. So I was trapped. And after about a week of staying indoors, you cannot even come out of your compound. It began to look as if, where are we headed? And I have a wife and kids that were only communicating through FaceTime and things like that. I had to think that, suppose you start looking at those data from CNN, how many people were dying daily. Every expatriate company has hired plane loads of charter planes to be flying their people out of the country because they thought that Africa would become a place that would be replete with dead people on the street. That's what the fear was. And I said, I cannot stick back here in this room and let this virus come and kill me here without going back to my wife. Because I will fight. My mom taught me to fight when I was small. Because all the big boys were beating me so much, so she told me I have to throw a few more punches to be able to get at them. So I've always learned to fight. So I was like, man, this virus will not kill me here. I started thinking, but I'm a biochemist. I'm a chemical engineer. We used to design products for safe entry so that if people in the oil industry want safe entry into a vessel, they usually have microbial contamination. If they go in there without us decontaminating the vessel, they will get ill and some of them can die. And as I say, I called up the person in charge of the warehouse. Do we have this type of materials in our warehouse? They said yes. I said okay. So I started making some phone calls to people that I knew in government. Can you give us a pass for us to liaise with your state to see how we can fight this virus and see how we can decontaminate marketplaces, public places as we prepare to reopen whenever the governor wants to reopen? They said, can you people do that? I said, we don't have that solution right now, but I think we have a potential to search for a solution that could be applied. I don't know how we are going to get certification from NAFDAC and SONCAP, but we can try. So they said, okay, so they gave us a permit to be able to move. So I called two of the young engineers. I said, you know what? You're not going to die because I'm going to be there with you. This virus can't kill us, but we need to look for ways to fight this virus. So we started looking for opportunities looking at those reagents, and I'll play a video for you just so that you can see. The technical crew, can you come and assist me, please? I need to be able to.
So click it. zoom into this place now. Doesn't matter. So click enter.
Okay, so for some reason this laptop does not recognize our video. But what I was trying to play with you is to show you our simple lab in Port Harcourt where that event happened. And you see us walking inside the lab. From about 100 candidates that we lined out, we continue to look at the possible ones that could be applied in the environment. Remember, when you are fighting a virus like we didn't have any application for open air. So we were not a fumigating company. And if it's fumigation, how do you determine a virus that is so potent, like killing people like that? What dosage of the drug are you going to put in the air that will not affect a human being? The things you need to balance out. So we started that research looking at one issue after the other. And eventually we were able to isolate it to about 5. The final one that made the cut after we submitted the documentation to the authorities for approval were initially about 3 products. And those are the products we call the MVQ range of products. To cut a long story short, we got invited after we finished. We sent it to the River State government, sent it to a few other governments. We were able to, during that period of shutdown, be able to develop a product that was originally thought about here. Not in our factory, not in our research lab in Luling in Texas, in the US, but from here, from Nigeria, with a few Nigerian engineers. So, what you are doing in your lab, in your own enclave, don't think is unimportant. That's the message. We were able to help the River State government train their people. They were using those things when they started reopening. You would have seen the video where our people were taking it to go and decontaminate the atmosphere to keep the place safe. We did not only come out of that pandemic, other people got involved as well. And in different states, we were able to supply to Kebbi, to Lagos, to Delta State, and so on and so forth. From trying to survive, we were able to make some money. You know? But not as much as we projected, because we didn't know that Nigerians have the unique capacity to defeat COVID by itself. And praise God that we have that ability. You know, I used to tell people that we have probably suffered COVID 1 to 18. We didn't have anything. We did. And that's why we have so much immunity. So it doesn't matter what happens. Let COVID 20 come. COVID-19, it's not going to kill us like that, because already we are used to it. So if you are in a situation today you feel disadvantaged, there are other opportunities that arise from that particular situation. Okay, so this I'm sure this video will not play as well. This next video was also to tell us how we, instead of thinking outside the box, was what I wanted to use this other video to tell us. Those, you can go on our website. I'm going to give you our website. You can see these videos. Instead of using traditionally men to go and be fumigation, we had to think outside the box. We sat down and I was talking to my team that, is it not women that used to clean inside the house based on our culture? They said yes. I said, okay, let us use our female people. We call them the Blue Seal Angels. And we designed a program and a plan for people that Blue Seal Angels are coming to your facility because of that philosophy that in our culture, it is women that normally will sweep inside the house when there is death. And we used that method and it caught on like wildfire because people have not seen women that are going about, that are dressed up, kitted with safety gears and coming to decontaminate facilities. They drive themselves, they carry the truck and things like that. You need to be forward thinking if you are going to make a mark. If we are going to bridge a gap, we need to be innovative as well. So he is trying to give me part of what, this is a handheld one. There is the industrial type. There are a lot of things that we brought. We are going to leave some of these for Unipen so that in case anything comes again, you can deploy it to classroom and so on. But these are products that were designed and made here in Nigeria. So anything is possible. Stop thinking of yourself less than you are. Anything is possible. To round up, I am going to proceed and go to the final stages of this presentation, and I hope I've not bored you so much with my story. So these are the range of products that were developed. Now we have 5 products in that range. Yes. So we have a lot of products that we market, but you can see that from 91 to 95, these are the range of products that we have added to our list now that are Nigeria. We have a list of clientele that are very impressive. But I believe in closing that because Unimed exists and we have such fine young men and women that are students here, we have an enviable faculty with the experience to be able to lead the team, that this nation does have hope. That Nigeria has a fighting chance to revolutionize our industries. It's just repositioning ourselves. In this age, it's emotional intelligence that's going to win. Just making sure you observe, you manage and promote the right emotions and also the right skills. You challenge people to do that which is needed. And for us to continue our work here in nation building, and I am pleased to mention to say that we have decided as a group, and we are at the early stages of our consultations. We have been talking to the faculty, and yesterday we started a conversation with the university authorities. We found out that Unimed has an innovation center already that exists. We are going to be collaborating with them, even as we plan to establish a center for advanced research here in Unimed. The center will basically have some incubation labs, and where our goal will be to collaborate with the innovation center, where ideas that they will do at the preliminary level that they are able to qualify and say they merit something to be looked at a second time, and it has a very high chance of survival. They will advance it to the next level, which will be this advanced lab, where we will try to build a model and see whether we can go and test those in the market and see whether we can begin to develop some products that will be marketable. You are welcome to join us in that place if you are serious, if you are willing to work with the same spirit with which our organization is built, with which we believe Unimed was originally conceived. You are welcome. It doesn't matter who you are. Whatever your ideas are, is going to have the basic. Science is the foundation for engineering, for all other inventions, many other inventions that are made outside of science. So we are going to open that opportunity for as many people as we can accommodate. The consultation will be brought. We have already secured the commitment of the chair of innovation at the University of California in Berkeley right now to co-chair whatever institution we are going to put up finally. So we are going to require a lot of help and cooperation from both the students and the faculty in order for us to be successful in that bid. And not just saying all these words, we would like to back up words with action. We thought about, okay, if we come here and say all this, what is it, again, like we're talking to Orwe, that we can do immediately to position the lecturers in order for them to be able to better inform students. When we heard that some lecturers do not even have places that they sit or work from, or access to power supply, we decided to sponsor this solar-powered workstation in order for the Faculty of Life Science to be able to provide better service. So, in closing, I am eternally grateful to all of you who have contributed in no small measures, the faculties, all the lecturers, the administrators, the men and women that have stood out for this country by giving their best of service in molding our mind, in training us, in helping to keep us focused. And also, I am grateful that all of you students who have come to join us, who have come to follow the same footpath, that you selected this university believing that you can be something by coming here. You are not in the wrong place, you are in the right place. If you can just apply some of these principles, I believe that the sky is your limit. I believe that we have an opportunity to build. Whatever Nigeria has become, I'm sure many people are not proud of it, but it does have a potential to transform into a great nation. And it begins by incremental steps that you and I will take in order to build the nation of our dream. Thank you for your audience, and God bless you.
Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. Keep clapping, keep clapping, keep clapping, keep clapping. Thank you so much, thank you so much. Thank you so very much. Thank you, please take your seats. Take your seats. Just before now, okay, I think you, please. Somebody help me. Let's just bring the chair for you here. Stand here. Just one any of those chairs, please. Thank you. Just one here. This has been a very interesting lecture, well presented, well delivered. And I want once more, can we put our hands together for our guest lecturer? We have just about 10 or 15 minutes for questions, and he is here to take whatever queries, whatever concerns, or whatever questions that you have. Please, let's make it very, very brief. The questions should be very, very brief. I have the authority to switch off the microphone if the question or whatever comment it is that you're making becomes very long. Brevity should be the watchword. Thank you. Firstly, let me invite Emeritus Professor T.O.K. Audu, please. Please, come on. Hassan. Can we have the other microphone, please? Thank you.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our distinguished speaker, we have been treated to what I say is a wonderful motivational talk, a good lecture. I am not trying to challenge the speaker. For those of you who know that I am a professor emeritus of chemical engineering, I was a bit worried when he talked about his experience when he wanted to study chemical engineering. I wasn't aware of it. He didn't come to me. But I'm happy that at the end of the day, he was able to study chemical engineering. And I am sure he probably used my book in process calculations. I want to commend him for what he has done. I think that we should all try to give, no matter how little, we should give. What he has demonstrated is a big plus for all of us. commend him and I congratulate him. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes. Comments, questions? Anybody? Students, you are free. Okay, have two gentlemen there. Please. Can somebody assist to take ushers? No, over there. That's the gentleman there. One. Let me just see your hands, please. 1, 2. Any more? Then the young lady there, and that's it. Okay, let me make it 2. Let's make it balance, gender. There's another young lady over there, right? 2 of you. Where's the first one? Where's the first? Okay, 1. Don't do me like this. 1, 2. 2 guys, 2 young ladies. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker. I'm speaking personally, but I believe I'm speaking the mind of everyone present. Your lecture has been most beneficial and entertaining. Thank you, sir. My question is a 2-part question. It's just very simple. I just want to continue after now for the motivation. So I need, sir, please, the name of your book and the website you said you're going to drop. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. Just hold on. Let me just take that question and then we'll get back to you.
Okay. My book is A Long Way Home. The book is actually, we have about 100 copies that we are going to give out. I did not know we are going to have this much crowd, so we don't have enough copies to give to everybody, so we'll give to some faculties. There were some ideas. A long way home, I believe all of life is a journey. So all of us are heading in one direction, trying to get to our destination. And you see some motivations there. If you are interested, please register with the Creative Writers Workshop. They are going to tell you a lot more because we spent a lot of hours yesterday discussing in details some of the projects that we are going to be doing with the group as well. Okay. Then the websites we are going to send to the alumni and maybe some of the, through the Students' Union, we'll give them information as to how you can reach us, how you can follow our company and see the openings that are there and what we are doing outside the company in the non-profit as well. There are several organizations that we are members of. We talked to the Students' Union yesterday about leadership training and development and mentoring programs that we have under SUSO. That's the Stand Up, Speak Out organization. So we'll give all those information through the Students' Union to be circulated to the students. Thank you. And then here's a copy of the book. Since you asked, I'll be sure to sign one and give to you, okay?
All right, thank you. So let the microphone go to the young man. But I've just been informed by our guest lecturer that he's signing a copy of the book for this young man, and the second copy he's signing for me. Thank you. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Go ahead.
My name is Asher Spencer, a 300 level student from the Department of EDB. And my question, from our discussion for today, we bridge the gap between the academia and the industry. Now, the academia and the industry, they are separate bodies working to achieve a common goal. And the industry, they engage in researches to improve their services to the nation society. The academia, on the other hand, also engage in researches. And these academia are supposed to be leading when it comes to research. Why? Because we are the center for knowledge. Now, but reverse is the case, whereby the industry are now leading. Now, my question is, what is really the major problem? Why are the academia lacking behind? Is it due to lack of funds or lack of skills, or maybe we don't have cooperation? What's really the problem?
Thank you. All right, thank you. We're basically going to do the lecture again. All right, it's okay. Thank you. Yes, young lady? Yeah.
Thank you very much for the opportunity given. My name is Ulan Ubade from PTS.
Slow down. Thank you so I can hear you clearly.
Yes.
Okay. Department of Chemistry, 200 level. Okay, my question is the fact that I have come to exactly that students, especially to learn. We have this challenge of some of the lecturers now, like saying, like.
Okay. Hello? I'll use my own. Please, give her this microphone.
Okay, thank you very much. I see some period like it's a challenge. It seems that understanding about education seems to have been limited, because when we have this kind of mentality that what the lecturer gives us is what we are producing, it has been a challenge. And so, but I'm confused that because we're like, it is all based on materials, we're able to be textbook, we're able to broaden our knowledge about our course and the like. So we realize that by the time that we are taught, we don't even know more than what the lecturer is giving us. So it's like the input seems to be the same thing as the output. So my question is, what can students, because it is happening, that's just the fact. What can students do about that, or the lecturers or the students?
Let's make it fast. Quickly, thank you. The last person, thank you. Last not the least, please.
Good afternoon. Thank you much for this.
Please come over. My name is Mike. Come and use my mic. Okay, you want to try it again? Yeah?
Good afternoon.
Okay, I'm going to take my mic.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for this lecture. My name is Ojela Courage. I'm a PBB 400 level student. My question to you, sir, is on setting our final year project, how do we stop what has done and start doing and solve problems? Thank you, sir.
How do we stop reinventing the mirrors? Okay.
Thank you so much. Very wonderful questions. I'll take them one by one. So the first one, the first person wants to know the reason the academia seems to be lagging behind industrial researchers. It's simple. The primary reason is lack of funding. I think you touched on that already. But also, it's another one that's not as critical is the fact that if you set up a demotivating environment for researchers and professors by not giving them the correct working environment, we're talking about people you expect to conduct research. They don't even have a seat. They are employed, but there's no office. There is no power supply. All those ones will affect their ability to be able to conduct research. I have gone to several institutions abroad, and some of us here have had the benefits as well. You can imagine what a classroom looks like there and what it looks like here. I was just driving through yesterday, through the campus, and many of these old buildings that were here maybe 20 years before I arrived here, they are still the old buildings 30 years after. You know, I saw some interventions here and there by Tech Fund and so on and so forth, but society is supposed to be evolving. Tear down old buildings, like I'm suspecting that some of the reasons you are having a huge power bill now is because there could be bridges on those electrical lines that were set like almost 40 years ago. they're not designed to last forever. So a very, very important reason why that gap exists between researchers in the academia and those in the industry is lack of access and lack of funding. And for us to begin to bridge that gap, the alumni must be involved. Because this is where we come from, and I'm using this opportunity to call on our members wherever they are. And there are people with resources, there are people in different places and so on and so forth, to look into the institution, because we are trying to create an environment of learning. And if we don't position the professors and the lecturers to be able to have access to material, they will not be able to give what they don't have. And I'm not trying to look for excuses, as I've said before, for some people who are just not applying themselves even with the resources that are given, or trying to keep to themselves only and blocking other people from accessing even the little resources they have. So that is what can be done as an intervention. As a country, we need to re-examine our educational policy. We cannot be putting, I don't know what the budget is for education this year. And ideas and information are going to be the winning issues of the future. So if you don't prepare your people and you are going to be dependent on others, people will be manipulating you, and then you remain as, it doesn't matter whether the West have left and we say there's no colonization. If you still depend on them and they decide for you what happens in your economy, you are still colonized. Some call it neo-colonialism. So it is very important that we begin to do things and look at the resources we have locally. I have not seen any nation, if you are flying over Nigeria, do you see that everywhere is green? You need to fly over some countries. Everywhere is brown and dusty, unproductive. When I see the greenery in Nigeria, it tells me about productivity. The land is pregnant. You don't allow people to start running around shooting everybody all over the place and you think there's no consequence. There will be consequence. There will be hunger in the land. So we need to make, government has a role to play in stabilizing our communities. But most importantly, we need to make up our mind to free ourselves to know that there's something that we can do. How students can access more study materials instead of limiting themselves to just the handouts from the professors. I would have thought that the internet is a very good resource. I don't know whether you know about this. There's Google Scholar that everybody can access some material. There are some very interesting articles and so on and so forth. Do not allow the lecturer to limit you to only what they give to you. When they give you some materials, it's supposed to give you to tell you this is a guide to what they expect you to do. Go to Google Scholar. It's free. Most of the articles there are free. Search for those topics. Look for the keywords and search for those topics. You'll be able to download those materials and you don't have to print them. If you spend so much time doing all those things you do on the internet, just spend some part of that period to be able to access those materials and be able to work with them. Lecturers should not limit the students to the materials they provide. Because most of the time, we had a lecturer, for example, that I was discussing with, in my time here, the material is not even his own. He's not the author. He has gone to get somebody else's material to print for us and he's insisting we must buy it. We are selling another person's product. I mean, how do you explain that? And you say there are copyrights that guide those materials, but illegally you have printed that and you are selling it to the students. That is wrong. That's morally wrong. If you are caught, you'll be jailed. That's a fact. So don't be selling people's work. Knowledge is supposed to be free, but sometimes it's your own work that you have produced, and it costs you money because it's your textbook. So it's understandable that you should sell it and recover some of those costs. For the students, you can make it affordable to them, but it is for profit, of course, because you put in your energy. So nobody is going to quarrel with that. But let's not limit people to our own textbooks as well, because you are not the repository of knowledge by yourself alone. So I think let people be free. Those people that you are training today, don't worry, some of them are going to remember you. All of them may not. Look at the Bible. 10 lepers were healed. Only one came back, and that one was even a foreigner, to say thank you. But some will come back. But even if some do not come back, after all, you say that your reward is in heaven, your teacher's reward is in heaven. So you get your reward. There's one sure place you get. So please, we need to give as much free information as possible and encourage the students to explore their other resources as well to be able to access that. My own university where I'm doing my PhD now, they developed a database. There are some articles that you cannot access by yourself because it's going to be paid for. I do not think that the university with the lean resources they have will be able to commit to that. But perhaps since we have the chairman of the alumni here, it's something that should be considered by the alumni. That we can create a database for the University of Benin whereby people can put forth together notable alumni for them to build that database, acquire the rights for those materials and set it up so that they can set the University of Benin database and people can access it and be able to use to work. That's another idea. Okay, so how can students start exploring new topics and new ideas in their final year project instead of recycling materials? It's going to be the students' willingness. I think part of the demotivation will be lack of materials to use for as a reference for any chosen field that you may have selected. And it can be demotivating. And I have a personal example about this. In my PhD thesis, I am looking at the relationship between perceived ethical behavior of leaders and the job satisfaction of their followers. Controlling for age, gender, and all the other demographics. But I'm using a national institution, the Nigerian National Youth Service Corps. That's the NYSC. I could have chosen in America to choose a subject that is somewhere local and so on and so forth. But I have chosen to come back home because this national institution that for 48 years now have been developing leaders. When I looked online, you cannot even find peer-reviewed articles that talked about examining relationships within the organization to see whether research is not meant for social science research like that, or management research is not meant to establish causation. But to see the relationship that exists, that perhaps the managers and the operators of the scheme can look at those and start saying that maybe there's a trend here that they can now use to replan their strategy. So it's deliberate. So if we begin to look at new areas like that, especially those with resources, who are working in a company and they can fund it, then we are going to provide more materials for people to look at new areas of study. So just don't let the lack of resources limit you. I believe that if they provide some of these resources, just think about new ideas, new things that people can do to bring a new light. Now we are talking about COVID-19. Those of you in the health sciences, before COVID-19, we were taught that if they give you a vaccine, it confers a certain immunity. The minimum I've known before COVID-19 was about 1 year. So after you finish, children are given doses of vaccine sometimes. When they complete the dose, some of them, they say it's for a lifetime. Yellow fever, for example, was about 10 years. But all of a sudden, now we take vaccine and they say you come and take a second dose and a booster dose and so on and so forth. Those of you in medical sciences and pharmacy and so on and so forth, I expect you to start looking at subjects like that. What is the cost of that? And if Nigerians are not dying so much from COVID, you should study it and give us so whatever. And I believe if we do that, we will have a more inclusive society, and then we'll be able to move forward. Thank you so much. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's about it, sir. Thank you. Put your hands together for him, please. Put your hands together for him. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. In the spirit of hospitality, we have a presentation to make. But just before that presentation, let me very quickly recognize the faculty officer here, Mrs. Adebayo. Madam, welcome. Thank you. And of course, I also have some of we have the Dean of Medicine here, Professor Wilson Sado. Thank you. We want to recognize Dr. Mrs. A.O. Orazowane. She is here representing the Director of Center for Gender Studies. Madam, welcome. Of course, Mrs. Ibararu is also here. Madam, you're welcome. Thank you so very much. I want to recognize my friends, some of my very colleagues here. Dr. Sam Isaac-Bemen, I can see you here. Thank you so much. I'm sure you know what I'm saying. Dr. Mrs. Sylvia Ogwana, Dr. Akini Bosu, you are welcome. I see Habibat Suleiman sitting somewhere here. Thank you so much. Dr. Mrs. Agali, over there, madam, you're welcome. Dr. Jerry Ogbebo, I saw you somewhere there. Okay, Jerry, you're welcome. Professor Mrs. George, madam, welcome. Thank you so much. Dr. Baswaye, also of optometry. Professor Nato, yes, that's Professor Nato. Dr. Mrs. Adams, yes. I can see Dr. Boniface Edebayi. And of course, my brother, my friend, Dr. Beckley Ihanja. So many of them here. I'm not moving a lot of times, but I'm here in a very vintage position of sports here. And I can tell you, after all these years in this university, this is probably the first time we'll have a lecture series where the number of, where the crowd equals a convocation crowd. Yeah. The entire gallery, both the middle and the upper gallery, they are all filled. I can tell all of you, if you look back, everywhere is filled up. The only time you find a crowd like this in this auditorium is during the convocation ceremony. And that's a big kudos to the mobilizing abilities of the Dean of the faculty, the Chairman, LOC, and the Master of Ceremony. I thank you. And so, of course, the three of us and the Master of Ceremony. All right. So we'll have a presentation right now. Assistant, please. If it's ready, we want to humbly again invite the Dean, and of course the Vice Chancellor and our guest lecturer to please come forward as the Vice Chancellor, assisted by the Dean, and the Assistant Dean makes the presentation.
Distinguished alumni and alumnus, in this instance,
check.
On behalf of the Faculty of Life Sciences, University of Benin, Benin City, Nigeria. This, you can see this plaque is hereby presented to you, Mr. Doyle Edeni, today. And we say congratulations from Madam Vice Chancellor and the Dean, Professor Ore. Congratulations.
Photo sessions end. Let me recognize Dr. D.U. Waneri, Director, Institute of Child Health, University of Benin. You are welcome, sir. And so we are just about, we are at the twilight of this ceremony right now. Madam Vice Chancellor, sir, sorry, you have to keep moving about. Yeah, we need to invite you to come up again to make the closing remark. And thereafter, we take the vote of thanks by the Chairman Organizing Committee. Vice Chancellor, sir.
Thank you, Michael. It's a new lexicon today. Madam Vice Chancellor, sir. I will pass this message on to my principal. For us to begin to adopt the new title. Yes. As a matter of fact, I wish my Principal and mentor, Professor Lilian Mutia Salami, were present to see the magnitude of this event. In fact, like our university orator said earlier, I doubt if there hadn't been ever an inaugural lecture that was this massive. Congratulations, Professor Jerry. Yes, congratulations. Thank you so much for this wonderful organization and event. Well, we have come, we have seen the success of this huge event. I want to thank Mr. Doyle Ideri, as well as the organizers of this event. And of course, I won't forget to mention that it is the dream of Madam Vice Chancellor to see events like this happening on very regular basis in this university. And of course, we are very aware of our transformative agenda and how we've been able to connect with the industry. It is one of those key, factors that Madam Vice Chancellor wishes to establish in her tenure. And I'm happy that Professor Ore is one of those who clearly understands that aspect of the agenda. And you have carried it out in practical terms. Thank you, our beloved alumnus, Mr. Doyle, for all the efforts you have taken to leave your very busy schedule to come for this particular lecture. Thank you for accepting to be here, and thank you for delivering beyond the expectations of staff and students. And I'm so happy that the students are here to learn from you and to actually follow up with your success as their role models. Your style is different, and your style is quite encouraging. When I say your style of presentation, not the traditional boring, lecture. Yes, it is refreshing. It is indeed refreshing. You have content, and you have the gift of how to present it. Yes, because there are some lectures you'll be here for maybe 5 minutes and you start sleeping. We've encountered that in several places before. So thank you very much. So ladies and gentlemen, without boring you with much speech, I will thank you all for turning up to grace this particular occasion, and I pray that God will take you back to your various destinations after this event. Thank you very much. Welcome. Thanks for coming. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, we have refreshments. Ushers, please. Ushers, please. Hello, please listen. Ushers, can you stop? Please, can you stop? We know how it is. Once we start distributing this refreshment, and this place becomes very rowdy. It becomes very rowdy. So can we please hold on? When we have taken the vote of thanks, then the distribution of the refreshment can commence. Please. Assistant, please, let's hold on the refreshment, please. Thank you. Let's just put the food or whatever the parts are, put them in strategic places. And then after, as soon as we are done, the students will remain seated and they will get our refreshments. Thank you. I want to very quickly recognize my friend, my brother, Dr. Ekene Biose. You're welcome. He has been assisting with the technical units over there. Thank you. Now I invite to move the vote of thanks the chairman Organizing Committee, Professor Anthony E. Ogbehu. Please, thank you. Part of the learning process. Part of the learning process is this. Our guest lecturer can say, yes, he may have been based in America for a very long time, but he has respect for constituted authority. His African roots is still very much with him. In a function like this, once the Vice Chancellor speaks, the function is over. The only thing, any other thing is just thanks. Any other thing you need to do is a serious breach of protocol. But I want to appeal to the Vice Chancellor and the Dean to please bear with us. Our students of the faculty, they have a presentation to make to our guest lecturer. Please do bear with us. Thank you. Are they ready? Are they ready, please?
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you, sir, for your lectures. You have really inspired us this afternoon. And on behalf of the students of the great Faculty of Life Sciences, we present this to you. Thank you very much.
While the photo session is going on, please, I just let me recognize, with all due respect, sir, the representative of the Liberian is here, Dr. Issa Aliu. Thank you so much for coming, sir. Thank you. Professor Ogbehu, sir.
Uniban, a very, very gracious, graceful afternoon, beautiful warm afternoon to our erudite guest lecturer, the representatives of the Vice Chancellor of the University of Benin, my humble, amiable, insightful, tenacious, and indefatigable Dean of Life Sciences, my respected professors, emeritus professors here present, and my distinguished colleagues, gentlemen of the fourth reign of the estate, our distinguished invited guests, greatest university students. From the very, very warm expression I'm seeing on the faces of the audience, I'm pretty sure that you have enjoyed every second of your stay here with us this moment. I will say glory be to God. It is said by Napoleon Bonaparte that if there is anything more painful than the vicissitudes of war, it is the ingratitude of man to man. I stand here this moment on behalf of the Faculty of Life Sciences and the organizing committee to ensure that we are not going to be victims of that heinous crime of ingratitude. I consider it a very, very rare privilege to be invited to give this vote of thanks, thanking all of you that have contributed, directly or indirectly, to the very, very resounding success we have witnessed in the process of this, our encounter this afternoon. I say, God bless you all in the name of Jesus. If I were to follow the time, I would gladly say where I have given the vote of thanks, just to say thank you. But permit me to mention some specifics, because certain persons deserve to be appreciated. I want to start by thanking the Almighty God, who has given us life and made this occasion a very huge success. And also thank God specifically for the new face and image He's carving for the Faculty of Life Sciences. My deep appreciation to our very, very erudite, pragmatic, motivational, and inspirational guest lecturer. I call him the benefactor, God sent benefactor to our time, who God has sent to kindle the issues that concern the faculty. He gave us thought-provoking areas in his presentation. And today we know that he has certainly succeeded in opening a new window of romance and linkage with the town and the industry. Since he came to Nigeria, to this university campus, he has been very, very generous with his time as well as his financial resources by the volume of what he has done in this university. Please join me to say a very, very big thank you to the man who has thought it wise always to remember homecoming, to give into the system that have produced him. I say a big thank you to our guest lecturer. I want to thank the Vice Chancellor, Professor Leader, the great years Academy, who earlier met with this team on arrival. He profusely apologized for his unavoidable absence. He wouldn't have loved to be with us. We shared a lot of things with the committee. I pray that the representative will convey this to the Vice Chancellor. I want to thank the management team for being part of us from the beginning to the end, and the value you have added to this our meeting this afternoon. I thank the deans and professors, members of staff from our sister faculties for honoring our invitation. And we also pledge that when you do the same, according to India, we will retaliate. I want to thank the heads of departments, our distinguished professors, the level coordinators, for the motivation, the appreciation, the drive and putting on the process to make sure that this whole place is filled more than we have ever experienced, even during inaugural lectures. They motivated our students. We say very big thank you. I will not forget to thank the master of ceremony, and that's Professor Mike Amadurali. He has added strength and value to this meeting this afternoon. As the University see that it's our own. That's Faculty of Life Sciences. Thank you very much for the value you have added. I will not forget to mention those that have been working behind the scene to make sure that we have these resources we are witnessing. The technical crew, the volunteer ushers, those that are in charge of catering, they are doing their work. We say thank you very much. Now to my committee, the organizing committee. I want to specify mention names of these people. Dr. Emmanuel Ogri, who was acting on my behalf when I was in sabbatical. Professor Yoko, Mrs. Umaide, Dr. Sam Azebemi, and our very able secretary, Barrister Eva. They did not give me any stress at all. They made my work as the chairman very stressful and easy. Thank you very much. Now, what do I say to the Dean of Life Sciences, the vision driver, our professor, evangelist, administration by excellence, the man who almost single-handedly steered this whole process. We work along with him just to fulfill this axiom that a tree does not make a forest. I tell you that most of the things we are experiencing here today was actually steered by the team, almost single-handed. And I want to thank you specially, just for this you have done. When the hand of God is upon a man, he does not leave him without trace of testimonies and his presence. That we are already witnessing the faculty and because of this event. We say thank you. And above all,
ladies and gentlemen, I will thank Professor A.E. for that very brief vote of thanks. And so, ladies and gentlemen, just before we call it a day, let me recognize the last batch of recognitions now. The Secretary, University of Benin Alumni Association, Austin Irabo. Greetings. I recognize Dr. Obedi from EMT. You are welcome. I also very specially recognize all the other staff, academic and non-academic, of the Faculty of Life Sciences of this great university. And just to inform you, and as soon as we are done, there will be a commissioning of the workstation in the faculty. Please, the senior faculty and other staff of the Perhaps you please take note and accompany the Dean to the venue for the commissioning. And so I thank everybody, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for coming. Same time later. I know the reason why the students are still sitting is because you're here to get your refreshment. I know, if not. All right, thank you so much. We will all rise and take the Uniment anthem, and then after I'll take the second stanza of the national anthem. The Vice Chancellor and Senior Faculty, please just a group photograph outside. Thank you so much, everybody. Same time next year. I'll see you. Thank you. And as the Chinese will say, thank you one more time.